Yes, I absolutely understand that I'm not pretty enough to have an opinion for most of you, but that's not going to stop me from having an opinion and voicing it. First of all, I suppose, in the interest of racism, I should start off by chastising white people. Why chastise white people? All white people didn't do these things, very specific white people did. Dear white people, none of this is about George Floyd. None of it. I get on and I see posts, see, because I don't have conversations with my friends anymore. I don't get to see them. It's just Facebook. Ugh. But I get to read the opinions of these people. These people seem to be of the belief that all of this was over just one black man. Oh, they did this to one black man and everybody's up in arms? Well, they're not doing it to just one black man. The police have done it to 15 black men since 2017. 15 of them. That's a pretty major issue. 15 unarmed black people, men in specific, murdered by police just in the last 3 years. Now, the other half of that coin there is that police in Colorado have killed more unarmed homeless people than that just this year. One state has got the last 3 years of police brutality or police murders towards unarmed black people beat. One state in less than 6 months. Well, 3 days past 6 months. Now, technically, it won't actually be 6 months until the very end of the month. Is that technically correct? I do believe it is. It's the 6th month of the year, but we're only 3 days into it. Colorado police officers have already killed more than 15 unarmed homeless people this year. I want you to think about that. These are our rights. Now, I do realize that there's a lot of people who are sick of being told to go to the back of the bus. Native Americans have told me they're sick to the back of the bus. Is that every Native American in America who told me that? No! I don't know every Native American in America. And I didn't go asking every Native American that I know, hey, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't. When I was in Hardin, Montana, we had quite a few heartfelt conversations. Myself and John Nomi, myself and Gilbert, myself and Mary, flying shows, myself and Lila Mountain Sheep. We had a lot of conversations about the missing people up there. And yeah, there's a few of them folks up on the reservation use the N-word. Of course, I said the same thing that I always do. It don't matter what color you are. You use that word, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. The thing is that this isn't about George Floyd. It's about our government not giving a fuck about human life. What Black Lives Matters needs to take a look at is the fact that it's not just their lives that don't mean shit. Most of the black people that I was locked up with fit into 2 other categories. You know what those categories are? Well, the first category is homelessness. Most of those black people were targeted because they were homeless. Homeless people are easy to railroad. It increases your professional prestige. Look at all the people I arrested. They're all homeless black people. You don't get any fucking bragging rights out of that. Now, what's the other category that most of these black people that I was locked up with fell into? They grew up in foster care, at least in part. Now, what do these black people that I was incarcerated with have in common with the white people that I was incarcerated with? And the Hispanics and the Asians that I was locked up with? They fit the same goddamn criteria. The number one cross section of the jails and prisons is not minorities, it's former foster children. Number two on the list, sitting and riding around 80% nationwide of our national prison and jails, 80% are homeless. Well, actually, I'm not doing that great. I got no sleep last night. Akash, well, I got no sleep last night. I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. Luckily, I have more than most. I had enough for coffee this morning because I got my disability money back. Disability money that should have never been taken away from me. They preyed on my inability to take care of myself to justify their sins. George Floyd, this man is just the latest in a long string of police murders against black people going all the way back to the beginning of the founding of the country. We didn't even have professional law enforcement when this country was founded. But we did have multiple law enforcement agencies. Black people didn't matter back then, and everybody was poor. I mean, there was a point in time where there was less than 100 people in the United States did not live below the poverty line. Can you imagine that? That was right after the Revolutionary War, when we shipped a whole bunch of people who were not supportive of our cause back to Europe. Even if they weren't from Europe, even if they were born in the United States of America, they were deported. Now then there's all this stuff that I keep hearing about how I owe black people because my ancestors own their ancestors. Well, my ancestors didn't own any slaves. They didn't. My first ancestors that were not property in this country came over on a boat during the Civil War from Germany. Now, I haven't actually looked into the story. I just listened to my grandma when she told me the story. So do I know if there's any truth to this or not? I got no clue. I don't have any idea whatsoever. Now, what I was told is that a German got off a boat and they handed him a rifle and a uniform and said, "Congratulations, you're an American. Go shoot some Southerners." Right? So when the war was over, him and his brother both showed up, and I can't remember if I'm telling the story right, but I believe that he and his brother moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and that was right after the war. Now, it used to be common for slave owners, this part I have checked into, It used to be common for slave owners to rent their slaves out to people who were passing through, travelers and the like, seasonal workers. One of them babies come out looking mostly white. And that German who got off that boat married that former house slave. Why do I say house slave instead of just slave? Because she was too white to be out in the fields. Nobody was going to tolerate that, not even in the South. She's part white. You put her in the house. And after the war, of course, she didn't want to be in the South. And that German dude sure as hell didn't want to be stuck there after shooting a bunch of Southerners. So they moved to Omaha, Nebraska and had 8 kids. Well, Donald Trump wanted to say all of these people who are protesting are basically shitting on the name of George Floyd. No, President Trump, you're shitting on the name of the Constitution. You're shitting on everything that this country was supposed to stand for. Of course, it hasn't stood for any of that in my lifetime. It's all bullshit and propaganda. Those of you who are in a wonderful position where you actually believe that shit is true, well, I both envy you and pity you because you're about to have a strange fucking wake up. I'm fighting this war the best I can, and I'm trying to do it peacefully. However, I've got over 300 people that I knew personally in real life who died in a 10-year period, mostly due to negligence of the United States government and illegal activities of the Border Police Department. How can I bring it down to one police department in specific? Well, that's where I was for those 10 years. Boulder, Colorado. Now, a lot of white people, they've been saying stuff like, oh, well, you know, if they're going to be going out and looting, then they're terrorists. No, that's not terroristic. It's not. Looting is not terroristic. Do you know what it is? It's vandalism, theft. Terrorism is shooting unarmed black people. Terrorism is murdering unarmed homeless people. That's terrorism. Meanwhile, a lot of white folks want to pretend that all black people took part in these race riots. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Shit, that CNN thing, I didn't even finish it. But I did keep a count. 6 white guys tearing up that fucking building. Why didn't I count the white or the black people that were tearing up that building? Why would I? What purpose would that serve? The thing is, who's getting blamed for this? Most white people are blaming who? Black people. Black people did. Black people are rioting. Black people are protesting. Oh no, there's white people there every step of the way. And some of those white people are breaking those laws that you want to assume or pretend that only black people are breaking. No, 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 no. Some of the stuff that I have seen white people do in those videos, most black people are smart enough not to. Then again, that's because of white privilege. Those white people did it because they knew they weren't going to get shot. Now, a lot of the things that I've been saying, I've gotten to see people post up stuff about it after I speak out. I'm like, oh, cool. So the news is always what, 2-3 days behind me? Well, that depends. When it came to Clearview, they were about 5 months behind me. When it came to Whale and Lolatai, they were about 7 months behind me. Now, a lot of the stuff that y'all are trying to pretend only happens to black people. Border police have killed plenty of white people that didn't have it coming. Now, there's different ways to kill somebody. A lot of different ways to kill somebody. Shooting them isn't the only way. See, you're Germish, huh? Yeah, I'm a Russian, German, and Hebrew descent, but I got ancestors from every continent but this one, as far as bloodlines go. But another thing is, I'm a real big history buff, and there's no such thing as purebred anything. The Romans took over most of Europe, and they bred with everybody. They got their asses kicked a few times, and people who kicked their asses and took over their territory with everybody there. There are very few times in history where there was actual genocide. Most of the time, it was kill all the male population and take all the women. What we're dealing with is a bunch of ignorance and a bunch of people who don't actually want to look things up. They don't actually want to learn what's going on. They just want someone to take their shit out on. You had a bad day because your wife didn't give you a BJ. So it's time to take it out on somebody. Can't any black people in the neighborhood, go find a homeless person. It's fine. Nobody cares. People will care if it's a black person. But here's how you get around that rule. You pick a homeless black person and it's magically okay. If you pick a black college student at CU campus to victimize, I assure you, Black Lives Matters will come down on you like a ton of bricks. And they will use the fact that they have many voices to pressure the police to do something about you. And as right they should, if only the homeless would do such a thing. Back to the Future 1066 type, it's quite amazing that there were no protests and riots for you when you were abused by the cops and released the video of it. Well, at the time, I was accused of murdering someone I didn't murder, stalking somebody I didn't stalk, raping somebody I didn't rape, and molesting who wasn't even a child and I never molested. So, yeah, there was no public outcry to go after these officers. There was public outcry to come after me, to harm me repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again, and to slander my name in places where they could guarantee that by slandering my name in those places, they could get away with their crimes. Like the officers assaulting me and charging me with felony assault against an officer. To this day, not one officer has actually investigated that or done anything about that or taken my report about that. Just the fact that I have written it on multiple occasions. Let's see. Ashley typed, my baby niece is mixed. My sister's father has disowned her and his only granddaughter because of being mixed race. It's disgusting. He will get his. Grr. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Let's see. Did you see the video of the BLM Antifa protesters burning a homeless man's mattress in the streets? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I've also seen many of these crimes that black people are saying, hey, you white people, you keep looking away whenever black people or whenever police do this to black people. I have literally seen those crimes committed in real life. against homeless people and watched black people walk right on by. This isn't our problem. You keep on walking. That's really sad. Wonder how many of those black people who walked right past that took part in these protests. They wouldn't do a goddamn thing when it happened to a homeless person. And when I say they, I'm not talking about all black people. I'm talking specifically about not just the black people, but the minorities who were present and looked away because it wasn't happening to them. And that's where much of my issues come from. People got these wonderful ideas that are as far-fetched from my reality as you can possibly get. Like, oh, Sean, all you have to do is get a hold of the ACLU. They'll take your case and everything will be fucking perfect. No, the ACLU gives me the same useless, goddamn mentally ill treatment as everyone else. Literally, if you want the ACLU to take your case, you have to have someone who is willing to fight for your rights. I'm not allowed to fight for my own rights because of the term mentally ill. I literally have to have someone present. And nobody seems to understand that. Not one of these people who said that they were my friend, claimed to be my friend, understood that. People keep telling me stuff like, you need to put yourself in their shoes. Bitch, I did put myself in their shoes. Back to the Future 1066. I'm not doing okay mentally. I'm not doing okay physically. I'm not doing okay financially, and I'm sure as hell not doing okay as far as the courts go. All of this stuff that's been dragging me down and fucking destroying my life for the last 3 goddamn years, there is no end in sight. I mean, when it gets to the point where somebody is literally breaking the law to defend themselves and their loved ones, it's time somebody actually fucking took notice and did something. But instead, people want to get all fucking raggy about the fact that I use curse words. Oh, yes. Curse words are way worse than shooting an unarmed black man in the head, isn't it? Me cursing is way worse than a homeless person being assaulted for crimes he didn't commit, isn't it? Me cursing is way worse than people freezing to death in supposedly the greatest nation on earth. What's so great about this nation? I say there's nothing great about this nation. The land that we live on is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. But what makes it a nation? Is it the land? No. Formation of a government, societal bonds, communities. The Bollingers and their cronies never left me alone. To this day. Now, the Bollingers, they got what they wanted. They got to have court without me there. They got to prevent me from being able to defend myself in court, prevent me from being able to face my accusers or show evidence. Why? Because they worked with the police to guarantee that that would happen that way. You're right, Diz. There is nothing great about any government. You are absolutely right about that. I believe in anarchy. However, most of y'all are brainwashed into believing that anarchy is what's been going on the last few days. That's not anarchy. Oh no, not even close. You can have a complete anarchy and still live in a utopia. It's called minding your own goddamn business. Now, this whole situation with Natalie, it wasn't a whole bunch of people's goddamn business. It wasn't. It wasn't the media's fucking business. It wasn't Tim Beeson's business. Any of these people who assaulted me over it, it was not their business, first of all. And second of all, they were assaulting me for things that never fucking happened. And after Natalie was killed, those assaults just increased. And the police, they stepped up their game. Why do I say game? Because it is a game. Human lives don't mean shit to police. Police are one of the few groups that I will blame the whole fucking goddamn group. There is no such thing as a good police officer. There is no such thing as a decent police officer. Now, I've had a few friends who were police officers. Were. That's the key word there. Were. I actually typed, Sean, I've noticed that. You touch on shit first and then someone else picks it up. That's right. And when somebody else picks it up, they don't mention it. Darren O'Connor was going to help me to get in contact with the media. He was going to school to become a lawyer, and his claim was that he couldn't help me because he didn't have time. Meanwhile, there were 3 homeless people who were treated the way, all right, 2 homeless people. I should put this in perspective. Michelle Rodriguez was one of the 6 people that Officer Waylon Lolatai assaulted after me. Michelle Rodriguez was homeless at the time that he assaulted her. However, she didn't get any help until she got into housing. Zed Atkinson, that guy was not homeless. He was treated like a homeless person, and I've got conversations between me and Darren O'Connor that show that it was about him being treated like he was homeless, not black. Now, why is it that Boulder County is so willing to make that a race issue? Because if people knew how police nationwide, especially in Boulder, treat the homeless, well, we might very well have some riots over that. Oh, no, wait, we got to take that back because nobody cares about the homeless except for the homeless. You want to talk about taking care of your own? Let me tell you about taking care of your own. We are human beings. Nowhere else in America except the homeless population you're going to see people taking care of their own, and their own includes people who are a different color, and people who are a different gender, and people with different sexual preferences, and people with different religions or lack thereof. The homeless community is the only true community in the United States. The only one. And is that saying that there are no racists that are homeless? Fuck yes, there are racists that are homeless. Mark Swanigan is probably the most racist people I have ever met. He's also black. Does that make him less of a human being? More of a human being? Does it make his racism more acceptable or less acceptable? We really need to take a look at that. Now then we got to look at the fact that a lot of people want to say, well, not all cops are doing these things. You can't just go blaming all cops. Excuse me, you're blaming all black people for all of the fucked up shit that has been going on. Much of the crimes that have been committed by white people who are supporting their black brothers and sisters. When I was saying that we need more white people out there with these black folks. Why? Because although many of these black folks have it in their minds that they're just fighting for their rights, the fact is they are fighting for ours, whether they admit it or not, whether they see it or not. The rights of theirs that are being violated are also being violated against Native Americans, against Asian Americans, against Hispanic Americans, and against European Americans or Caucasian Americans. What can label you want to give it? But at the end of the day, who is your own? I want to know that. Is your own your family? You're going to be loyal to your family. That's good. You're going to be loyal to your brother, right? Now, let's say your brother rapes somebody and you know that he's guilty. Are you still going to be loyal to your brother? I'm not. Not by a long shot. That doesn't mean I don't love him. But my little brother, Michael Allen Albert, is a sexual fucking deviant. I'm not talking about a sexual deviant as in, oh, I like dirty porn that you're not supposed to watch. It's all taboo and I whack off to that. No, we're talking about a guy who can't keep his nasty cock beaters to himself. Now, there's multiple women whose conversations I have recorded on this channel who know my brother, who have had to deal with that aspect of my brother. Most of them should have gone to the cops. Well, thank you, Kavalog. And I'm sorry I've been ignoring the stuff on the side. The thing is, if a homeless person does something bad, then we change the laws so that all homeless people are victimized for it. Meanwhile, what do we do when a police officer does this? Do we punish all police officers? No, we do not. Do we punish all black people? Yeah, actually we do. We're blaming a bunch of black people for things that they didn't even do. But it's okay, right? Because they're not complying with the police. You do not have to comply with an unlawful order. If you're broke, homeless, or black, I would recommend still complying with that unlawful order. Because if you don't, you might end up a corpse. Now let's look at the fact that there are 15 people, or 15 specifically black males, who are unarmed and murdered by police in the last 3 years. Colorado has that beat on homeless people in less than half of a year. One state in half of a year beat that entire record there for the whole nation for black people. You want to pretend like it's a black issue? No, it's a poverty issue. Your rights are based on your income. Now, I keep hearing ignorance and reading ignorance out of both sides. Well, at this point, there's about 20 different sides because no two people can agree on the color of shite. I mean, shit. Sorry, I shouldn't say shite. I should say shit. I'm an American. Right? You're in America. Speak American. All right. If I knew Spanish, I'd speak Spanish just to piss you son of a bitches off. Don't want it, s'il vous plaît. Taille-moi un pipe. Suce ma bite. And I probably pronounced that wrong. Merde. There's all sorts of curse words that I know. Most of them I don't know what they mean, and most of them are in foreign languages. I can say that as one beautiful prostitute in German. Is that impressive? It was when I was 14. My dad wanted to know how to say it, so I looked it up. And I am pretty sure that it's derogatory. Das ist eine schicke Stumpe. And I probably didn't even pronounce that right. I was also informed by somebody who is German that Schlampe does not mean prostitute. It's the derogatory term for a prostitute. Ireland fire. Me too. I live off the 16th Street Mall from 17 to 19. I've been to the 16th Street Mall. I've been homeless there right after Natalie died. Well, right before they found Natalie's killer. Right after I got released from Clearview, I was living on the 16th Street Mall. Denver's nasty. It was mostly meth heads that were out there at night, and it was colder than the cast iron commode on the shady side of an iceberg. But you know what? I got the hell out of there. I got lucky that I got the hell out of there. That's the problem with Natalie's death, is it? The people who I was trying to take to court, my predators, including Natalie Bollinger, Maddie Boa, Alicia Bollinger, Tim Beeson, Ken Wilson, Leah Plunkett, all these people that I was trying to take to court before Natalie was killed. In specific, I mostly just say, take Natalie to court. That basically just solidifies all of it. But then there's the specifics. Each one of these people is a specific. Because although I was trying to take Natalie to court, it wasn't just Natalie that I needed to take to court. It was many of the people who were involved in this situation because she didn't want to tell the truth. Train. I do not. I'm smoking off this goddamn pipe. I got myself a pack of cigarettes. I guess it's because I was out most of the night and I was smoking off the pipe. No, it's not a crack pipe. It's a tobacco pipe. Waiting on the train. And a lot of people say, hey, you should support these Black Lives Matters people. Do you really want to support somebody who blames everything on you? Do you really want to support people who tell you to get to the back of the bus? Do you really want to support people who want to pretend like they're the only ones who have problems? Do you really want to support people who want to pretend like you don't have problems? Or like your problems mean nothing by comparison? See, a lot of these folks who are supposedly supportive of Black Lives Matters are doing more harm than good by treating white people completely like shit. Blanketing all white people in a let's treat you all like shit. Let's blame all of you for all of the things that are our problems. I want to explain something to you. Slavery is still legal in the United States if you're convicted of a crime. Every aspect of survival when you're homeless is actually against the law. 150 years ago, they couldn't have made it against the law because everyone had to do those things to survive. It's the Ireland Fire typed Law enforcement is a joke in Denver. The whole state of Colorado, Ireland. I'm sorry you went through that crap. I tried to report an assault and was told to stop being a vindictive woman. Much less state. There are lots of vindictive women out there, but at the same time, that's unacceptable. Just blowing somebody off like that. Of course, that's the state of Colorado for you. They protect the criminals, the actual criminals. There are many police officers in the state of Colorado who have been involved in human trafficking. And I got plenty of evidence of that. There's also a conversation on here with a guy named Jay. Jay is Leah Plunkett's ex-husband. Leah Plunkett's ex-husband. Jay talks about the crooked FBI, the crooked law enforcement in Boulder, and also a few of the cases where people, in some of those cases, people that I knew were murdered over drugs, over debts that, fuck, you know. A lot of this issue is that Ashley typed, the time for you putting yourself in their shoes is over. It's time the fucking tables turn. You know, I can believe that to some degree, but at the same time, I have to put myself in their shoes. That's the way my brain is wired, first of all. Second of all, if I can't put myself in their shoes, if I can't try to understand them, how can I even hope for them to try to understand me? Now, a lot of these people were just angry, vindictive people. That's not a gender-specific thing, but it is something that we teach women. We pound it into them. You got to be like this because men are like this. And then we pound it into men's heads. You got to be like this because women are like this. The sexist divide that we have in this country is based on lies and ignorance. Like the belief that all men are pigs and all they want is sex. From a bunch of women who complain on Facebook often about how much they need sex. Most of these women are also addicts and Christians. Why does addiction in hand with Christianity so much? Because addicts are manipulators. The easiest way to manipulate people into giving you what you want is pretend you're one of them. Christians are a very, very closed-hearted, closed-minded community for the most part. If you're not a Christian, they don't want to help you. If you're not a Christian, many of them will hate you and treat you as if you're a Satan worshipper because you don't believe in their imaginary friend. I keep hearing about God, how everything is God, except for your bad decisions. God didn't do that, the devil did. But God preordained all of this. And God knew all of this was coming. So if it's preordained and God knew all of this is coming, then there is no such thing as free will. But then, when you bring up that, of course, there's the other side of the argument where they want to go, oh, well, you know, if that doesn't work, it obviously doesn't fit. We'll use the free will thing. Oh, well, it's free will. It's free will. No, it's not. You're a fucking lunatic. If your kid says, yeah, I got an imaginary friend, Stephen, how do you treat your child? Many Christians treat their child as if they're demonic for having an imaginary friend. My child's possessed. No, your child's not possessed. Your child is a child. Kind of like those of you who want to drug the fuck out of your kids. Feed them Ritalin, feed them Ritalin, feed them Ritalin, feed them Ritalin, feed them Ritalin. Why? Because all children have ADHD, you fucking dumbass. They're children. It's what they do. They don't need fucking drugs. They need you parents who are stressed the fuck out all the goddamn time to either A, step away from that stress and go have fun with your fucking kids, or B, stand together with other parents, because parents are the largest cross section of the American population, get together with other and do something. Do something about the laws. Do something about the reason that you're overwhelmed. Because for most of you, you are not overwhelmed because of things that you have done or have not done. It's because of what you have or do not have from the start. It's great to think that we all have a great start at 18. Oh, well, you know, your bad family bullshit. Well, that goes all the way out the window when you turn 18. No, it isn't. Because you don't have that start. Let's say you got two people, they got to run a 40-yard dash. Actually, let's say the 100-yard hurdles, because you got to jump. And I want you guys to imagine landing on bare feet. So you've got these two 18-year-olds. One of them, when he was 17, his parents bought him an excellent pair of shoes, right? So he's got this excellent pair of shoes that he can go running with. They were able to hire him a personal trainer, cardiovascular, all of this kind of stuff, all while he was 17. So now he has shoes, he's got cardiovascular, he's got the personal training, he's got the technique down. And then you got this other dude, he just turned 18. He didn't have any help, so he doesn't even actually have any shoes. But he's got to make this race. Now, the other thing is he's hobbled. Why is he hobbled? Well, there are 1,000,001 different reasons for that. Why don't you go through your life and look at all the things that have hobbled you, even if only temporarily? A lot of people say stuff like, you chose this and you chose that. Well, how long did it take you to recover from the last time you got all your shit stolen? Some of you never had all your shit stolen. Some of you have had your stuff safe since you turned 18. When you're homeless, you're probably going to get your shit stolen 2 or 3 times a week, or 2 or 3 times a month. Now, when you're trying to run that race, who that has the advantage? Is that person who turned 18 and had everything already set up? Is that person going to have the advantage? Or is the person who has no shoes, doesn't have much for cardiovascular, doesn't have any technique, is he more likely to win? No. No, he's not. The dude who had the advantage is likely to win. Now, us poor are fighting each other over trivial shit, slight advantages, like being white. Sure, you have the benefit of being white, so you're less likely to get shot by a police officer, right? That's an advantage. It's actually not that big of an advantage, though. I mean, I'd rather be dead than have to go through the shit that I went through the last 3 years. But it didn't work out that way, did it? So many of the people who threatened my life, played victim, claim to be Christians. I can tell you 100% beyond any shadow of a doubt that none of these people are Christians. Ted Bollinger is definitely not a Christian. He didn't cite anything from the Bible when he was speaking. Nope. The stuff that he's talking about came from the Quran. Eye for an eye. Where is that in the Bible? It's not. It's in the Quran. It's coming from Ted Bollinger, who plays Christian, because he thinks if he plays Christian, people won't believe that he fucking raped his daughters. Fuck that dude. You're right, it was bull that I wasn't able to defend myself in court. I've made a few videos about helping people the way that they ask. That's important. Having 10,000 people give me the same, not literally 10,000, but you know what I'm saying. Having so many people give me the same suggestion over and over and over again as if I hadn't tried it the first time. Most of these suggestions tried before anybody made the suggestion. Why did I make that effort before people made the suggestion? Because people, for the most part, didn't start making these suggestions until after Natalie was dead. And I was trying to get this shit going before Natalie was dead. Now, I've showed my cards from Nicole Peralta, one of my therapists, as well as the sheer number of cards that I got from the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. That's Ritter and Tara Heller, both before and after Natalie was killed. While the police officers who I was trying to take to court and was illegally prevented from doing so for 7 months, those officers got to slander my name and outright lie, refuse to look at evidence, refuse to, well, let me give you an example here. I was supposed to go talk to Amanda Jonas about the assault by Officer Burke at the Longmont Hospital. When I got there, it wasn't Amanda Jonas and Detective Brian Valenzuela from Sheridan Police Department. Nope, it was those two, and it was 8 other officers from various departments. Imagine that. You can't show anything from across jurisdictional lines. Bitch, I went in there to file a report against a police officer who had assaulted me. Amanda Jonas set it up with me specifically to do that. And then she went out of her way to make sure that I couldn't do that. They were having a celebration. All of these fucking law enforcement bitches having a celebration. And the only reason they got to have that celebration is because Peach's bitch ass didn't go in with me. That's Kayla Trujillo, by the way. Now, they won't listen to me. They won't look at any of my evidence because of the term mentally ill. So I need people to come forward. Meanwhile, these people don't want to come forward. Why not? Because they're fucking cowards. Because they're fucking scared shitless of the goddamn cops. Yes, white people are scared of the fucking cops too. Which white people? The poor. The more poor you are, the more you have to be afraid of these. But it's all right. We'll just blame black people for whatever the police do. Right? It's all black people's fault that the police did them fucked up things. Meanwhile, the guy who killed George Floyd is on his way to prison, along with 3 other officers who stood by and watched. These against me were planned. There is no other way that those assaults would have happened. The assault by Waylon Lolatai was because the information that the officers got from me in Natalie's case was illegal for them to obtain that way because of the term mentally ill. So in order to prevent me from leaving the state and going somewhere where I was safe, they broke the law and assaulted me, and then falsely charged me with felonious assault against a police officer. A police officer named Waylon Lolatai with a history of abuse both before and after he abused me. But it's fine, isn't it? Because this only happens to black people. My 300 dead friends must be a figment of my imagination. Quake Cox must be an imaginary person who never existed. Of course, Christine Boutte will have a day if you say that to her. Quake Cox was one of her favorite people. Brian Gray, he was murdered by the border police the same way that Selena Not Afraid was murdered. It's called exposure. They drove him down to the police station. But they don't keep your property at the police station. They keep your property a property and evidence. They took him to the police station. They refused to book him. They took his jacket. They took his blanket. They took his spare clothes. They took his sleeping bag. They took everything that man needed to keep himself alive, and they released him into a blizzard in a pair of pants and a t-shirt. He froze to death. Yes, Boulder Police Department murdered Brian Gray. Now then there's other crimes where, like Shady Dan, for example. When I talk about Danny, who died behind the pedestrian shop, and by the way, Anna Alford, I've got a conversation with her on here about that, as well as Tony DeStassi. Tony DeStassi admits that he's afraid. He's thinking about moving out of this country. He's not the only one. Tony DeStassi was the guy who was going to give Danny mouth to mouth 4 hours after he died. Now the police, when they wrote it down and gave their information to the media, they told the media that they found Danny dead back there around 6 something. That's complete fucking bullshit. They got a phone call around 6 o'clock saying that someone was back there not breathing and unresponsive. Oh, there it is. Cleaning underneath my fingernails. I found Danny at 10 o'clock. He'd been dead for at least hours. And Tony was going to give him mouth to mouth. But then again, Tony, he wanted to believe that I called him up for advice. No, I didn't call him up for advice. I called him up to get him to tell the truth. Now, listen to that conversation. It is here on YouTube. Now, a lot of these people, if you look their names up on my YouTube, you'll see me being an asshole. Am I being an asshole for no reason? No. I'm being an asshole for a very specific reason. It's called human rights. I have been denied human rights because of the term mentally ill. That's why the officers turn off their cameras. They can play on the term mentally ill. Besides that, they can also play on the homeless thing, on opinions about the homeless, how every homeless person must be a junkie. Every homeless person must be a child molester. Every homeless must be this, must be that. Anything that you can hear people say that obviously you know is racist against black people, so you probably shouldn't say it. So you just say it about homeless people and it's fine. You can see through the years how as minorities and women gain more rights, the crimes against the homeless multiply exponentially. When it's illegal to go after women, that when women start to get rights, well, then many of those men want to go take it out on homeless people. Then we give black people rights and other minorities rights. Well, now we can't go after these black folks or these other minorities because it's special against the law. But then again, it's not against the law if nobody cares. That's the moral of the story here in the United States. If nobody cares, then it's not against the law. If the police don't care that Teresa Mycelia was raped, then it's all right to rape her, and that has been proven. That has already been proven. Now then there's Christine Kelly, also raped, also went to the police. You know what the difference between these two women is? Because they were both in Colorado when they were raped. Both of them, the police. One of them, Teresa Mycelia, chose to get violent to fight off her attacker, and she was charged with assault, while her attacker was never charged with rape. Christine Kelly, different story altogether. According to the police, she didn't fight back hard enough. So obviously she wasn't raped, and they charged her with making a false report. I'm going to turn this video off. Somebody suggested that I sit down and try to go through everything and write it out as a complete story. I've been working on that for 2 years. From one shitty environment to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. Many of these people, they had the best intentions at heart, but their addictions got in the way. Don't go to an alcoholic for help if you need somebody with a brain. Doesn't matter how intelligent they are when they're sober. If they're drinking, they're stupid. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's no, oh no, I'm not drunk, I'm not stupid. Yeah, if you're drunk, you're stupid. You start depriving your brain of oxygen the moment you put that alcohol up to your lips. That's how fast it happens. Alcohol can be absorbed in, absorbed through your tongue, through your cheeks, through your throat. You start absorbing alcohol, even if you spit it out, you've already started to deprive your brain of oxygen. All right, let's see. Ashley typed, of course, there are limitations, examples, rapists, child molesters. If they're in the wrong, you can still care, but I won't help hide or cover up bad things. Neither will I. And that's the problem here, is that I am the only one who is actively involved in any of this, who actually cares about the truth, who actually wants to show the truth, who has made this much effort to show the truth. I'm also the only one who has had miles and miles and miles of roadblocks laid in front of me. They rolled out the red goddamn carpet for the Bollinger family. And who are Natalie's predators? Her own family, her own mother, her own father, her stepmothers, her grandmother. These are Natalie's predators. Her ex-boyfriends, Cash and Tim, among others. Now, there's a boyfriend that she had. When she died, she had 2 boyfriends. All right, we got some fool over here trolling. Calls itself Ha'iri Octopus. Did I get that right? Ha'iri Octopus. Did you get your attention? Did you get what you wanted? Is this the positive attention that you crave? My little brother raped his own stepdaughter. And while my mother helped cover up that crime, I did not. Ha'iri Octopus typing shit like, why did you kill her? This dude's obviously got the brains of a fucking rock. Joseph Michael Lopez is serving 48 years in prison for killing Natalie Marie Bollinger. Of course, we got Harry Octopus, Ha'iri Octopus here, being a troll, being an asshole, being a punk ass little bitch. Because I can't reach through the monitor there and strangle him half to death. Do I want to strangle him half to death? No. I want that punk ass little bitch to come find me. Ha'iri Octopus. My name is Sean David Schwartz. I live in Chapel, Nebraska. I'm only 2 miles across the Colorado border. Ha'iri Octopus. Come and get me, bitch. Come and get me. You know, you're right, CCR. Just a troll who thinks they're funny. The problem is that it's not funny, and it is damaging. Lovely. Now, if you look at the Hairi octopus and what he's typing, or she's typing, or it's typing, I should say it, because an octopus isn't gender specific. It could be male or female. I look like a homeless Kratos, huh? You think I'm the god of war? Maybe I am. I'm a strategist. Hmm. Hairi octopus keeps popping up all these things that, well, it says this message is held for review. I'm going to show it anyway. For shites and giggles. You go, Ashley. See, I'm going to have to deal with people. Harry Octopus wants to call me a Nazi. I have to deal with these people everywhere I go. A lot of people want to say, dude, you should not care about what people are typing on the internet. People have harmed me over what these asshats type on the internet. People have assaulted me and threatened my life over what these asshats and their opinions on the internet. But it's not just their opinions. It's the fact that I have been prevented from showing the public the truth. I need help with that. Eerie Octopus thinks I'm a homeless turd. Lovely. Now, my question is, if I'm this big, terrible, racist son of a bitch, why is it that I am still fighting for black rights? Well, first of all, I'm not racist. And second of all, I'm not fighting for black rights. First of all, I am acknowledging that what is going on to the black community is wrong. Second of all, I am also acknowledging the fact that it's not just happening to black people. It's kind of like going to church. You listen to a whole bunch of Christians talking about how they're being persecuted. I'm like, you're surrounded by Christians. How are Muslims persecuting you? Oh, well, they're persecuting people in other countries. And you're persecuting them here in God's house. Church is supposed to be God's house. And we have hundreds of thousands of preachers across the United States. And most of them are teaching hate against Muslims in God's house. And you're paying these assholes to do this to you. Yes, I said do this to you. You ignorant fucks need to get off the goddamn pew and read the fucking for yourself. The Assembly of God here in Chapel, Nebraska, one of the worst churches I ever been to. Nearly every time that I sat through a sermon there, they wanted to reinterpret the entire goddamn thing we were reading. Well, if you're going to reinterpret it in a way that it wasn't written, why don't you just rewrite the Bible for us? Why don't the preachers at the Chapel Assembly of God rewrite the Bible for us, since they know what it means better than the people who wrote the goddamn thing? Yep, and see, here's somebody who very much can identify with at least part of what I'm saying. Says, I'm a Muslim, so that church hating Muslims things is all the more reason for me to avoid America entirely. You don't get to. See, In 1987, we already knew that Russia was coming down. This is 2 years before the Berlin Wall came down. We already knew that it was coming down. It was in 1986 and 1987 that whole "we hate communists" thing started going out the window. And don't get me wrong, there are still remnants of that that exist today. But the fact is, they started teaching us to hate Muslims. It went from, all right, we hate communists to we hate Muslims in the span of a year. And we've been pushing that anti-Muslim trap ever since. Here we got Harry Octopus. Damn, what a fucking bitch ass cunt. Harry Octopus. My name is Sean David Schwartz. I was born October 18th, 1980 in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. I'm a Libra. I'm 5'9". I have brown hair and brown eyes, and I weigh approximately 155 pounds. That's cute. He typed, "You gay stalker." Difference between myself and you, Hairi Octopus, is that I'm not hiding behind a computer screen. I went to court dates. I collected evidence. I made phone calls. Lots of them. And I'm going to get off of this now. I didn't get any sleep last night. I might try to get some sleep. I might try to get some more coffee. If I'm not asleep in the next 30 minutes, I'll probably go get 2 of these and chug the fuck out of them. Actually, I'll probably get 2 of these and chug the fuck out of them because it takes these ones forever to cool down. The problem is, we are now trying to destroy human nature. We got too much propaganda going on. And we got the United States government doing to its own citizens things that are illegal according to international law. However, oh, now he wants to type some racist bullshit. I don't care if it's an A or an R at the end. It's still racist. So why am I allowing this racist bitch's stuff up here when it gives me the chance to just block it? So that you guys can see what it is that I got to go through. I'm going to speak out until I'm dead. So put me in the ground, Tim Beeson. You a bitch. You a bitch boy, Tim Beeson. Justin Ward, I want to believe that you were the one decent man in Natalie's life after I left. The fact is, it doesn't matter how much work I do, there's no point without help in person. But then again, when you try to get this help, what happens? You know, Harry Octopus, you're not the first person to tell me I'm black. I've had plenty of black people tell me I'm black. I look in the mirror, I don't see a black man, I see a human being. Not a hairy octopus. Although I could probably, let's see, we'll separate that into 2, 3, 4. Let's separate them a little bit. We'll stick with these 2 in the front. 5. Now I'm a hairy octopus. Are you enjoying this? Get a shrink.